Hey, what's going on, movie lovers? My name is Vivaldi II, back again with another tier list video. So today, I figured that in celebration of Pixar's latest film, Luca, I could rank all of their previous films. Let's get right into it. So here's the tier list. This is probably the biggest one we've done so far. So anyways, our tiers are favorite, awesome, good, average, and not my favorite. And anyways, we've got a lot to work with, but they're not all in chronological order, but luckily, I remember the order, just like with the Disney Animation Studios movies, which I have yet to rank. But anyways, I'm going to start off with Toy Story. I grew up with this one, and it's going to go in the awesome tier. Pixar's first animated film came out in 1995. The animation definitely does look dated, but it's still a classic nonetheless, and it would later go on to be Pixar's most successful franchise, if you will. Next, moving on to A Bug's Life, which came 3 years later. We're already skyrocketing. A Bug's Life is quite possibly the most underrated Pixar movie. It's got some good voice actors like Kevin Spacey and Dave Foley. Shouts to my fellow Canadian actor. Well, I mean, I'm not an actor, but I am a Canadian. This one's got some good humor, got some good action scenes, and bugs are cool. Now we have Toy Story 2. Now, this one's also going in the favorite tier, but it's gonna go above A Bug's Life. Now this one's pretty fun. It introduced Jesse and the Roundup Gang, as you all know, and Al. It's actually voiced by Wayne Knight, who I know from Jurassic Park, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, as Dennis Nedry. And that same year, he was also Tantor the elephant from Tarzan. Now, we have Monsters, Inc. I'm just breezing through this. Move mouse. There we go. I'm going to put Monsters, Inc. in the awesome tier as well. It was another one that I watched quite a bit of when I was younger. This one stepped up the CGI animation process, because apparently I've heard that Sully's fur was the hardest thing to animate, and Billy Crystal, who voices Mike Wazowski, is also in one of my other favorite movies of all time, Princess Bride, as Miracle Max. And fun fact, this one is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. Hopefully the Disney Plus exclusive show will be good. I have a good feeling it is, but I don't know how long it'll last. Now we have Finding Nemo. And if you've watched my top 10 favorite movies list video, then you know where this one's going. It's going at the top. It's my favorite Pixar film, for one thing, but also it influenced my love for ocean life, and it's a great movie. Pretty much all of these are great. I'm in the firm belief that Pixar hasn't made a bad movie, although some are certainly better than others. Yeah, Finding Nemo. Really good movie. If you haven't watched it yet, then what are you doing? Go watch it. Now we have The Incredibles. This one's gonna go, I'm gonna put it between Toy Story and Monsters, Inc. This one is definitely one of my favorites, but it's not going in the favorite tier. I really like how, it's one of those movies that to put it simply, I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but this one is one of those superhero movies that I do like. Of course, I also really like the Spider-Man and Doctor Strange films when it comes to Marvel. Those three are my favorites. Um, it's got some nice action scenes, some funny humor, all that jazz. Now we have Cars. Where's the first one? I think that's it. I'm gonna make a few enemies here, but I'm not the hugest Cars fan, to be honest. Are they good movies? Is the first one good? Absolutely. I'd even go as far as to say that it's the best. But it's not my cup of tea, if you will. Still decent, still a pretty good movie. And I know a few people who this is their favorite Pixar movie. One of those people being one of my cousins. Yeah. Cars is pretty good. Not my favorite, though. I just put it in the average tier. Now we have Ratatouille. And I'm going to put this one in the... I really like this one, but I don't know whether I should put it in the awesome or good tier, because... How about I put it in the low awesome tier? This one is... It's definitely ranks alongside A Bug's Life as the most underrated Pixar film. It's neat seeing a movie about food and rats combined together. I definitely like some of the it's a good movie. I don't know what else to say about it, really. I haven't thought through this as much, but Ratatouille is an underrated gem. I recommend you guys and girls watch it if you haven't already. Go check it out. WALL-E. This one's going in the favorite tier. Now this one is exceptional. It was directed by the same man who directed Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, Andrew Stanton, and it was Pixar's first love story. It's a really nice movie, and it's my younger brother's favorite Pixar movie as well. He really likes the robots and whatnot. Now we have Up. Up is going to go into the good tier. It's probably the most emotional Pixar movie, I'll give you that. And rest in peace to Christopher Plummer, who died a few months ago. He voiced Charles Muntz in this movie. Another Canadian actor. Nice. Kevin is funny. Doug is funny. It's cool how it takes place in South America, in the rainforest, and the dogs that like to chase after squirrels. Moving on to Toy Story 3. Where is it? There it is. Toy Story 3 is going to go into the awesome tier. I remember watching this in the theater when I was little, like 5 years old. I think it's the first Pixar movie that I watched in theaters. There's quite a few others that I've seen in theaters as well, but this was the first one that I watched in theaters, and it was pretty good. We recently lost Ned Beatty, the voice of Lotso. Rest in peace, brother. Anyways, I watched this one a lot, and it's one of the 4 Pixar movies that I currently have on DVD. The others being A Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, and Inside Out. I hope to get more in the future, but for now, it's all I'm sticking with. Cars 2. This is going to be another controversial one. The film itself isn't awesome, but it's just where I'm putting it because it's my favorite of the trilogy. I know that for most people it's their least favorite, and it's admittedly the worst Pixar film. Doesn't mean it's bad though. Like, I can think of way, way worse films than Cars 2. But Mater, I think the reason why I think I can't talk today. I think the reason why Cars 2 is my favorite Cars film is because Mater is my favorite Cars character. And I really like the spy theme in this one. It's sort of a departure from the rest of the Pixar films because you don't really get that kind of theme in the rest of the Pixar movies. But yeah, Cars 2, my favorite of the trilogy, but admittedly the worst. I'll give you that. Moving on to Brave. Now, this one isn't my favorite, to be honest. I just don't know if I should put it above or below up. I'll put it below. I remember watching this one in theaters as well, and the part where Mordu, or whatever the bear is called, is attacking Merida and her mother. That part scared me. One of the few movie moments that I remember scaring me. And I was 7 at the time, so makes sense. This is sort of where Pixar animation started to look good, if you will, with like the realistic environments and the fur on Queen Eleanor. That's her name. She's voiced by Emma Thompson, who I know from Harry Potter and Treasure Planet. And it's pretty neat to think that before I watched those, I kinda knew her from this movie, even though I didn't actually know who she was until after I watched Harry Potter. This one's good. Of course, the tier says so itself. All of these are good, but I like them on different levels. This one is, I recommend checking it out too. It's pretty good. Got a good message. Great story. You get the deal. Monsters University. I also watched this one in theaters. Most people say that it's also pretty underrated, which I can see why. I'm going to put it above Monsters, Inc. A pretty... I don't want to say good. I keep saying that. Anyways, how about I just say that it's the only Pixar prequel. It's the only prequel film in the history of Pixar Animation Studios. The Scare Games reminds me of the Triwizard Tournament from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Sometimes it can be tricky working without a script. Moving on to Inside Out. At one point, this was my favorite Pixar film, but it's still up there. I'll put it between Toy Story 3 and Monsters University. I remember around the time that I watched this, so this was June of 2015, maybe July that might have been when I watched it, but I also watched this one in theaters. And yeah, it really stood out to me. Around this time I was fascinated with the human body, so I liked how it kind of revolved around the brain. And yeah, this one has a special place in my heart. And sometimes I still find myself rewatching this one. Like, I watched it a month or two ago. Yeah. Moving on to The Good Dinosaur. This is another one of my younger brother's favorites. This one's gonna go above up. What's up with Arlo's nose? Anyways, this is where animation, like with the backgrounds and whatnot, as I was mentioning earlier with Brave. Brave was starting to like get to the realistic backgrounds, whereas The Good Dinosaur perfected it. And it's a nice little story about friendship, if you will. Moving on to Finding Dory. I remember I watched this one 4 times when it was in theaters. And this one's gonna go in the favorite tier. This is the last movie that's gonna go in the favorite tier. Although I prefer Finding Nemo, because I'm more nostalgic for it, Finding Dory, I'd say, is the better movie, just because of the, like, animation and whatnot. This is where animating, like, the animation of water, like, with CGI, started to look awesome. And then Moana perfected it a few months later, like, 5 months later. So Finding Nemo was obviously the film that started CGI water films like The Incredibles and Ratatouille kind of helped it expand, and also The Good Dinosaur to a lesser extent. But then this, Finding Dory, it perfected it. No, Moana perfected it, but still, Finding Dory did it good. It's neat seeing the movie take place mostly in a public aquarium. It gives me it takes me back to going to Ripley's Aquarium whenever I watch this one. And the day that I'm filming is the day before this movie's 5th anniversary. So, woot woot, happy 5th anniversary, Finding Dory. Moving on to Cars 3. Sorry, people. Honestly, Cars 3 is, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Cars. And this one was boring, to me at least. Before, like, I watched it like maybe 2 or 3 times, but I'd always lose interest halfway through, and I'd go do something else. But I recently rewatched it, and yeah, I didn't like it all that much. Good animation. It's nice to see Lightning McQueen take the spotlight as main character again, but I just don't really like this one. Incredibles 2, it's gonna go in high good tier. I remember I watched this one the day it came out in theaters, and it sort of continued a little tradition up until the next year, up until the year after. It was nice to see a return to see what Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, Dash, Violet, and Jack were up to, even after that little cliffhanger that happened in the first film. And it was neat to see actors like Craig T. Nelson, I think his name was. Yeah. What was... I know it... Frozone was voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, who's also in Jurassic Park, and also in Star Wars and Marvel. He's in lots of stuff. Oh, I forgot Coco. Whoops. My mistake. It's gonna go between Monsters University and Monsters Inc. Whoop. I watched this one recently, or I rewatched this one recently. Move over. Come on. Move over. Uh-oh. Oh well. Just pretend that Coco is between Monsters University and Monsters Inc. Anyways, moving on to Toy Story 4. I also watched this one when it was in theaters on the day it came out. And, yeah, I'm going to put it above Toy Story 3. Actually, it froze on me a little. My computer is slow. I'm just closing some tabs. Alright, now to move stuff over. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Toy Story 4, great movie, but I prefer the first three, like 2, 1, 3, 4, in that order. Toy Story 4, it felt great to finally get a Toy Story sequel for the first time in 9 years. But I'm a little disappointed that the film only really focused on Woody and Buzz in the way of the main characters. Nonetheless, a great film, and it had me teary-eyed. It had me teary-eyed at the end. Yeah. Moving on to Onward. Now, this one... Yeah, I really liked this one. Actually, hello there. I accidentally dropped my phone, as you can tell. I'm gonna put this one above Cars 2. Onward was great. It was neat to see a Pixar movie in a fantasy universe, which isn't normally what they do. Seems more like the Disney Animation Studios approach, but yeah, it was neat to see Tom Holland and Chris Pratt in a Pixar movie after I already know them from Marvel, and I also know Chris Pratt from Lego Movie and Jurassic World. Finally, Soul. Yeah, I didn't. It was okay. Actually, you know what? If it's okay... Actually, it's gonna go in low good tier. I really liked the animation in this one. This was actually the movie that I required myself to watch before I made this tier list video, so... Because it was the only Pixar movie that I hadn't seen up to this point. If you're not counting Luca, which I'm waiting to not be a Premiere Access thing. But yeah. So, it hurt my brain a little. Just like Alice in Wonderland. It was weird, trippy, headache-inducing, but it was deep. But pretty good. Tina Fey's in it, who I know from DreamWorks' movie Megamind and Disney's Muppets Most Wanted. And it was neat to see her voice another character in an animated film, especially because I watched Megamind just this past weekend. But yeah, that's it for the tier list. This was a long one, that's for sure. Anyways, that is about it for this video. Thanks everyone so much for watching this video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, after you subscribe to my YouTube channel, make sure to tap the notification bell so that way you won't miss any of my videos. Make sure to tell me in the comments what your favorite Pixar movie is. And make sure to follow me. Oh wait, I don't have any social media for movie-related stuff. I'm used to saying my social media accounts in my animal and gaming channel. But anyways, peace out everyone.